back, everybody. F1 Chase for the title. Segment 2 today. We're going to preview and talk about round 10 of the Grand Prix schedule, the Russian Grand Prix, on what I like to call the Circuit de Putin, which is not really the name, but that's what we're going to use here because we're in America and we can say whatever we want. The circuit's a little bit different. It's a newer circuit. So, Chase, have you had a chance to look at this?
Yeah, I have.
Why don't you give me your impressions?
Well, Sochi is always a very interesting race to watch. It's got two DRS zones, speed trap at the end of the first one, and it had its first F1 races around 2014, I believe, when they had the Winter Olympics there. Yeah, and last year's race winner was Lewis Hamilton, who also has the most wins at this track. But yeah, hopefully we'll get something new.
Anything about it that's particularly challenging for these guys compared to what we've raced so far this year? Steve, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's more observation and just watching qualifying. But there does seem to be a lot of sharp turns. It seems to be a pretty bumpy track, which is going to be hard on the cars. You certainly saw a lot of teams, Bottas in his last lap to hopefully get pole. He got fully airborne coming around. I think it was turn number 8. So I think it's going to prove to be an interesting race because there aren't the sweeping bends and turns. I think it's going to be because it could be kind of a hardcore race.
Dr. Bill, anything to add?
It'd be interesting too, as far as what the what effects the crowd may have, because there's going to be, I think, 30,000 people or something like that there. So, see what another
people are being forced to go to the Grand Prix, and they're not allowed to wear masks, and they're supposed to stay in very close contact with each other.
Right, another mass spreading event. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
So what do we think so what do you guys think? And I'll go back to Chase. What do you think that means for the kind of racing we're going to see? Are we going to see a lot of passing? Is it going to be pretty much pit strategy and tires? What do you think, Chase?
I think we may see a couple crashes, honestly. Not to the scale of last week where half the people don't finish, but I think we'll have 2 or 3 DNFs this week. I also think high downforce, like you said, bumpy track, a lot of sharp turns. High downforce is going to play a lot. So hopefully that's what the drivers have tuned their car to.
So based on the way you're looking at this, you think there'll be a fair amount of passing and that's going to cause some accidents, or is it just because
I think
of speeds and people going into turns without the ground force that's going to throw them to the side of the track?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of high-speed corners, and just like plain old hard corners like to drive. But with those 90-degree turns, that gives a lot of passing opportunity because you can go around, you can like cut back and go underneath. It's just like you have a lot of room to do it.
And it's a relatively short track, right? It's a little under 6 kilometers. So that's like what, a little over 3.5 miles or about 3
miles?
It
was 3.5 miles.
So, I guess maybe that's about average. I take that back, but 53 laps. So it should be interesting. Dr. Bill, were you expecting anything what about the start here? Do you think, I haven't looked at it quickly myself, but is there a big corner we come up to that's going to be a game changer at the beginning, or is it relatively mild start here?
I don't remember what the rundown to the first turn is, but it kind of doesn't matter since you got Max on the front row. So that should be fun. He drives a wide car usually. So we'll see how that happens.
Yeah, and obviously we know he doesn't back off anybody. So
right.
Maybe Bottas has got to deal with him and say, "Look, Max, if you take Hamilton out, I'll split the price."
I think it's turn 2 that is going to be the turn at the start of the race to at least show some initial signs of moving and aggressiveness.
Yep.
First major turn that we're expecting to see something. And I think the way that they're lined up with Hamilton and Verstappen, depending on the kind of start either one of them get, it could make that turn pretty interesting.
Because it looks like the first turn is kind of a gentle turn to the right, but then you go down and there's like Chase was saying, almost like a 90-degree turn there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that should make things exciting. And speaking of exciting, do we expect anything from the Williams team differently this week, given it's the first race under new management?
Well, you guys were saying he got into qualifying 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, he has been able to do that in the past, so that's not much of a tell, but I don't know. I don't, personally. I hope they do, but I don't see it happening just because, yeah, you're under new management, but that's not really going to fix your car that much.
That's true. That's like putting, let's say, you know what that's like, Chase? That's like if you have a Subaru, right? I'm not talking about a bad Subaru, a nice Subaru. And you put a McLaren sticker on it.
It goes fast.
That doesn't make the car faster, does it?
Yes, it does.
I think it does.
Really?
It might. Maybe Williams may get P1.
I remember as a kid when I got my first pair of PF Flyers, they're supposed to make you jump higher and run faster, and I did neither of those things, but in my head I did. So maybe it's all psychological.
Well, it might be interesting, as we were saying earlier, with crashes, that now you have a different strategy team on the pit wall versus Claire Williams and her team. So their philosophy may be somewhat different if you have a couple of crashes.
True.
Crashing. We'd like you to crash a little bit more this way as opposed to the way you crash.
No. Strategically, what they're going to do if there's a crash and the pit lane's open versus pit lane closed, or come in and change tires, all that kind of stuff. So they may have a little bit of a different philosophy than the old Williams regime.
And speaking of speed and Subarus, I was going to send you this, Dr. Bill, a little off topic, but do you know that the Subaru models are in the top 3 of cars that have percentage-wise have the highest percentage of speeding tickets of any other model in the country?
Yeah, I think they.
Oh no, Legacies and I forget the other model.
The WRX. I usually see that.
Yes.
That's like all tricked out, and it's like I don't know.
Right?
It looks fast on going at 10 miles an hour, but I don't know how fast it is on out on the flat.
Well, apparently some of your fellow Subaru drivers are finding out how fast it is and are getting pulled over by troopers all over the country. I thought that was interesting. So,
yep.
All right, why don't we let's convert some of this vast knowledge that you guys bring to the table into Nostradamus time. Are we ready for this week's Nostradamus?
Sure.
That wasn't an enthusiastic response, but that's okay. I don't care. All right, so let's start with the big one off top. Does Hamilton get number 91 and tie Schumi? I'll start with Chase.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't ask you who you think is going to win because that would be a separate prediction. So let's just stay with that. Steve.
I'm going to say no.
Dr. Bill.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say no.
Wow. You guys are all saying no. Down on Hamilton. Wow. Holy
Well,
smokes.
I mean, if Bottas is saying he's going to put him into a wall, I don't think that's a really safe bet to make.
Yes. Well, Bottas didn't actually say that, but that's the inference I drew from what he said. But all right. Somebody keep track of this. I'm going to ad lib, and I'm going to go with another Nostradamus on top of this. Then I'm going to say, since you all said no to Hamilton. All right. Well, you know what? Let me do this. Let me go with the second question, and then we'll see where we are. So you're no on Hamilton. Will Verstappen grab the victory? Chase.
No.
No. Steve.
I will say yes.
Yes. Dr. Bill.
I will say yes.
Yes. So we got 2 yeses there. So Chase, you know what I'm going to do for you? Since you were this morning and you didn't do anything on the qualifying, and your father's got 47,000 points now as a result of that. I'm going to give you a chance to have one bonus yourself. Chase, who's going to win the FFB Russian Grand Prix? You said no to Verstappen. You said no to Hamilton. Who?
Bottas.
Bottas.
Wow.
He will successfully put the other guys out of the race.
Yeah.
Mark that down, Steve. That's a specific one for Chase that he's got. Individual.
Wow.
You know what, Chase? If you're correct, I'm going to give you 9 points on that. How about that? 9 points.
All
If
right.
you're wrong, I'm going to take away 22.
That works.
Seems fair, which seems fair because everybody else has guessed already. Okay. One of my personal favorites because he and I share a certain physical attribute. Daniel Ricciardo was very quick in the early qualifying and then tapered off a little bit, but I think he's got a fast car this week. So I'm going to ask you guys, does he make the podium, starting with Dr. Bill?
Yes, he does.
Yes. Steve?
I'm going to say yeah.
Yes, makes the podium. And for the triple play, Chase?
Sure.
Sure.
I think let's see it.
Let's see it. He wants to see the beak on the podium. Okay, that's for 10 points if you get those. If you guys get that right. Now, here's an interesting one. Will Vettel finish the race? Steve?
I'm going to say no.
No. Chase?
Yeah, I think you will.
Will he actually finish the race in his car, or will he finish the race in the pits? That's the question.
He'll be there when it's over. Maybe a bit long, but he'll be there.
Okay, Chase equivocating to see if he can get points no matter what happens. Bill?
I think he will finish. Yeah.
You think he will finish?
Yeah.
Bonus question, another bonus question. Will Putin show up at the race and will he be wearing a shirt? Steve?
Yeah, he's going to show up to the race. However, he is going to have a polo shirt on.
Polo shirt.
Polo shirt.
Ralph Lauren polo or a Russian polo shirt?
A Russian polo shirt.
Wow, that's a very specific prediction. If that one comes true, I'm going to give you 28 points.
It's going to be navy blue.
Maybe
Wow.
35 points. And he'll be wrestling a bear before the race starts. All right, Chase, what do you think? Does Putin show up for the race?
I think so. I think he's going to show up in a black suit.
Black suit. All right, so
Whoa.
he'll be wearing clothes on top, and it's a black suit. Dr. Bill, as a physical guy like you are, and appreciate the manliness that Putin brings to the table. He does that sumo wrestling, whatever the hell he does, and you do whatever crap you do. What do you think?
He's going to show up, but I think he'll be riding a bear.
Riding a bear.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. That would be exciting for all to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Especially
races with it.
with the crowd near him.
I say Putin shows up and he's wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
I win 175 points and I retire from the show and I'll be doing a circuit of talk shows for the rest of the year.
Wow.
And that's something. Huh? Wearing his
That's
MAGA
bold.
hat. Yeah.
Nice.
No, I'm not
Let's see.
I'm Formula One, folks. I'm not making any political statements. Don't worry about that. Just saying.
It'd be fun to last year when Niki Lauda died. The red hat that where people were wearing that said Nikki across the front looked a lot like a MAGA hat, and I was tempted to see if I could get my hands on a Nikki hat and walk around with that and see what kind of reaction you get. People just freak out when they see the red hat, but then they don't realize it's a Nikki hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ferrari hat.
Yeah.
They punch you first and then ask the question later. But
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
okay, so we're hard to believe, but this is race number 10, and I think we got 20 on the calendar right now. Is that right?
That's what I think so.
So,
Yeah.
and I don't think, unlike some of the other circuits, we're not doing a second race here in Russia, are we?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a feeling they get in, they get out of there
Yeah.
as fast as they can. So, all right, well, it should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. And I haven't checked the weather, but I didn't hear the guys talking about any inclement weather on the broadcast this morning. So hopefully that won't be an issue, and hopefully we have a safe race.
Was rain in the talks?
I did not hear that.
I didn't hear that either. No.
No.
But they did show a couple of shots where they were looking at the weather radar and putting their hand out, feeling for rain during qualifying. So
Yeah.
That's how advanced the forecasting is. It's like,
in the former Soviet
I
Union.
don't feel anything. You feeling it? I don't feel any rain. Do you feel any rain?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, and by the way, I thought Le Mans was kind of cool. It's always fun to see it back a little bit later in the season, but nevertheless, those cars are, those cars are so cool to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so close, and all the different types of, prototypes on the course at the same time. And
They had some pretty neat feeds on YouTube where they were in the cockpit.
Yeah.
I forget which teams, and And actually, I was watching one live feed that was all in Spanish that went for about 2 or 3 hours, and then suddenly the FIA or whoever it was found it and shut that down. But the in-cockpit feeds were pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, probably next to the, and maybe it's pretty close, but next to the Formula One cars, these high performance prototypes that the endurance racing like Le Mans is as close to the Formula One cars as you get in terms of technology, engine performance, design, and expense. Because when you see the people who are driving these cars, they're the best of the best too.
Yeah.
And to see them in different categories is kind of fun. So
it was interesting. At one point, I looked at it, and they had a safety car, but it was at night. I'm like, oh, that must be a bit of a challenge to try to clean up the track and retrieve the car and all that kind of stuff in the pitch black.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and seeing the safety car and distinguishing it from like,
yeah.
oh, well, I guess they have that lights on the hood or the roof.
Right. And they had like a screen in the cockpit that was saying, safety car, like in this big screen. So it's like you could not mistake the fact that there's a safety car right now.
Right.
That'd be funny. Put that on the back of one of the racing cars. Everyone slows down behind you.
Right.
It's true.
Fool them.
So like Bill with the Subaru.
Yeah. People start to draft on me. They think I'm going fast.
Well, listen, it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll do this again after the race. And for those of you out there, remember what we always like to say. Here's wishing you many, many hours in the DRS zone. How about hours? Yeah, in the DRS zone. Stay tuned. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.